Welcome, everyone.
Hey.
Woo!
It's been a couple of weeks now since we did this.
Oh, yeah. Well, D23 Expo kind of took precedence over everything, right?
Yeah. We put out those 3 consecutive episodes without having to do wraparounds.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
I know we got some comments like, hey, thanks for bringing us to the Expo. That was the first time we've ever done that.
Yeah.
Put out episodes during the Expo.
That's what we kind of should have done during Celebration.
Didn't we?
But
We did like 1 or 2, didn't we?
Oh, we did the round tables.
Oh, but we didn't.
But we
put
just
them
didn't
out.
put them out. Yeah.
Right.
There's so much going on.
Right. So welcome everyone who is joining us today. We'd love to say hi. Yay.
Now, is this a good time at 12 o'clock, like at lunchtime? Because
Yeah,
we were
let
going
us
to go
know.
a little bit earlier, but then we thought, let's do it around noon.
Mm-hmm.
When people on the West Coast go to lunch, they can watch as they have lunch.
Yeah, that might be fun. It's my dad.
Hey.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Peter. I just started December this morning.
Woo! Yay! Of the book.
Yes.
Excellent.
That was a private conversation between me and your dad.
Oh, okay. Nice. Awesome. Welcome, you guys. We are going to be sharing some thoughts on Andor and a primer. Like, we're going to get to know the characters today.
Who and what to know.
Yes, who and what to know for watching the series tomorrow or at midnight tonight. Midnight, you get three episodes, 3 of them.
Happy Andor Eve, everybody.
Yes. Amy, welcome, Amy. Thank you for joining us today. Yay.
Yeah, I'm so eager to hear everyone's response to Andor.
Yeah.
It's such an unbelievable,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, such an unbelievable series.
Yes. And also, if you've been following us on Facebook, we do Zoom discussions that anyone can join in. And we're going to do it this Friday night for the Andor discussion. So that should be fun if you guys want to join in and really talk with everyone. It's a really fun place to be.
So we'll do She-Hulk and then Andor, but which one's going to be first?
Andor, I already said.
Okay, good.
Yes, I already made I made an event in our Facebook group.
All right, good.
Everyone's going to want to talk Andor first anyway.
I know.
Yeah. Meredith says, hey. I love it.
Well, she says chicken.
Yeah. No, it's hey.
Those are chickens.
That's what she meant. That's what I can read into Meredith's writing. Thank you, Meredith. Yay. All right, you guys. Are we ready?
Or are those ducks?
I don't think they look like chickens or roosters. And they are supposed to be roosters. Yeah. I'm curious. Do you type in rooster when you're trying to find that emoji? Let us know. All right, so we should get started and start recording.
Yes.
So what we're going to do today is we are going to go through the spoiler-free section of this. We're going to record our spoiler-free section of the podcast now. And then we are going to stop the live stream, and Richard and I are going to record our in-depth comments on episodes 1, 2, and 3. And so the podcast you'll be able to listen to the whole thing starting tomorrow or whenever I publish it tonight. But probably at midnight. Yeah, you'll be able to do that. So once you see Andor, you can then go back and listen to the podcast and listen to all the thoughts on the whole...
Each episode.
Each episode, yeah. Exciting.
Each episode meaning the first 3.
Okay. Oh, now Meredith's posting ducks. You asked for this. You asked for this.
Or is that a mallard? What's a mallard?
A mallard is a type of duck.
I know. That was one of my favorite quotes from The Office.
Oh.
When Kelly says, "What's a mallard?"
When is this?
When Dwight has put like a listening device on the bottom of this carved out duck.
Oh.
And he says, "I put this listening device on the bottom of the mallard." She's like, "What's a mallard?"
That's funny.
What a great Kapoor-ism.
Yes. All right, well, without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm going to press record over here. All right, you're also going to hear some comments from Adria Arjona, who plays Bix. We were in a round table with her, and I've got the audio right here. So it's going to weave into our discussion today. All right. Oh, they're walking. Oh, wow, they're walking and listening. Well, thank you guys, Mom and Dad. Okay, here we go. This is what you can look forward to on this PG-13 episode 390 of Skywalking Through Neverland. You've been warned.
Hey, Skywalkers! Are you ready for Andor? Or wait a minute, or is it Andor?
No, it's ANDOR.
Andor, okay, Andor. Well, we are ready to talk about this fourth live-action Star Wars series on Andor Eve, including whether to cuss or not to cuss in the Star Wars universe. So much to talk about, but for right now, we want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. I am Richard Woloski, and now everyone please say hello to my overly enthusiastic wife, Sarah.
But that's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
That's a really good thing.
No, that's kind of a foreshadowing of what we talked with Adria about.
Audria. Yes.
Adria.
Okay.
Arjona.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Well, we are your overly enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel fandom. So it's time for your weekly Wookiee hug and your sprinkling of pixie dust for our family of Skywalkers. Welcome.
Now, we are being sponsored by Small World Vacations, and they are a diamond-level Disney vacation planner travel agency and can help you book your trip to a Disney park around the world or on the Galactic Star Cruiser. And best of all, this service is free of charge. So head over there to smallworldvacations.com for a no-obligation price quote and tell them what, Sarah?
That Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Awesome. Now, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on September the 20th, 2022.
And we have been waiting for over a month to share our thoughts on Andor.
Say it right.
Andor. I think it was recently Talk Like a Pirate Day too.
that's how Stellan Skarsgård says Andor.
In
Andor.
In the trailer.
And in the show we call him Andor.
Andor. Yeah, so funny.
All right, but we gotta thank Disney for sending us the first 4 episodes of Andor back in July.
You guys.
We've been waiting since then to talk with you about this.
Yes.
So, Dank Ferrick, let's get into it.
Okay, so Andor is a Star Wars Disney Plus show. It is created by Tony Gilroy. Now, you may remember that name. He swooped in as basically the second director on Rogue One to do a bunch of reshoots.
And he wrote a lot of the personal scenes between Cassian and Jyn Erso.
Yes.
So it wasn't just so much a war film like Gareth Edwards had done, and that's what Disney asked him for. But then they thought, let's get some more personalized moments in here.
Yeah.
That's when they brought in Tony Gilroy, who was a perfect choice to helm Andor.
Exactly. And Andor mainly takes place several years before Rogue One. Now, we say mainly because there are many flashbacks, and this series answers these questions. How does Cassian become a rebel hero? We see him as he dedicates his life to the cause of overthrowing the Empire in Rogue One. Now, this series follows both the rebel cells and Imperial security officers to show... Oh my gosh, I can't say it. Officers. Now, this series follows both the rebel cells and Imperial security officers to show what the galaxy was like between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
All right, now this part is important because we're going to give you the who and what to know of the series, and this is what I always like before going into something new, so I'm not going in there cold. I have a little bit of a background in these characters and security firms, so we're not going, wait a minute, who is this and how does they play into it and what is this again?
Right.
So this is what I know I would want to see.
Yes, and also there are a lot of new characters, especially in these first 3 episodes that you guys are going to see.
There's a lot of characters.
Yeah. So, let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with the main one.
Cassian Andor.
Played once again by Diego Luna with so much enthusiasm. See, there's that word again, enthusiasm. And Cassian, as we find out, he's a refugee from the planet Canary who has made a home for himself on Ferrix. and he's there for a couple of years. He gets his personal, I would say, his connections, because someone like Cassian always wants connections to getting off a planet when he needs to, getting materials, getting supplies. So we get to meet all these different people. And Ferrix is a very small blue collar town on the planet of Ferrix. Not part of the Empire just yet.
Exactly. And an interesting tidbit we learned from the press roundtables, Tony Gilroy himself is from a blue collar town. And so he's really writing from life here. And you can tell.
Yeah, think Bruce Springsteen or Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Those kind of blue collar towns.
Another interesting thing about Cassian here is, though he lives in Ferrix, he doesn't seem very settled per se. Like he has friends, but they're I don't know.
Allies. He has allies.
That's a good way to put it. But he's mostly scrappy. He fends for himself.
Yeah. So he does like to have not I don't want to say attachments, but those who can help him out.
Yes.
He's always thinking forward. He's always thinking ahead. That's I think is a key point for Cassian. Always thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And then we also meet Marva.
Yes. Now she's played by Fiona Shaw, who you know her as Mrs. Dursley in Harry Potter. So she's an older woman.
And Petunia.
Oh yes, yeah, Petunia Dursley, exactly, yeah. And she lives with Cassian. She's a motherly figure in his life. I don't want to say too much, but she's a little like a mother hen on Ferrix.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Then there's B2 Emo or B2 Emo. They never say his full name. This is the droid. They just call him B.
Right, yeah.
So he's this little boxy droid that belongs to Marva.
He looks like a fire hydrant.
Yeah. So he's Marva's droid companion, but we see him a lot with Cassian.
Yeah. Now, next we have Bix Colleen, and Bix is played by Adria Arjona, who we just spoke to in a roundtable last week. And Bix owns a parts shop in Ferrix, and she also has had a romantic history with Cassian. This is made very clear in some of the dialogue. But
Sounds like Cassian's had a lot of romantic relationships with a lot of people.
He has. He's a looker. So it's clear they're exes, but they still care about each other and help each other.
All right, then we come up to Luthen Rail, and he's played by Stellan Skarsgård. His performance in this is fantastic.
It's so different from Marvel.
the MCU.
Yeah. So different.
And he's part of this new little rebel cell that he's connecting with Mon Mothma, and he goes through a couple of disguises.
You might have noticed things in the trailer.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, he doesn't look like that in this shot, but it looks like this and that shot. So don't want to say too much.
No.
But he goes to Ferrix to recruit ANDOR. I'm sorry, I just cannot say anything but ANDOR anymore.
I know.
Especially when talking about Luthen.
Yeah. All right, another character you know is Mon Mothma, played again by Genevieve O'Reilly. I'm so happy that she's back. I think she's going to have a big chunk character arc in here, not like those random little scenes that you see in Rogue One, or even, it wasn't played by Genevieve O'Reilly, but we first see Mon Mothma in Return of the Jedi, who was not played by Genevieve O'Reilly.
No, she was played by Carolyn Blackiston.
Exactly.
But Genevieve O'Reilly played Mon Mothma in Rogue One, the cutscenes from Revenge of the Sith, and voiced the character in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, so she's played her over 20 years, which is amazing. And Mon Mothma right now is an Imperial Senator, and we know that she eventually becomes the leader of the rebellion. So, how's that happen?
Cool. I think we saw a little bit of that in Rebels.
Yeah, yes we did.
All right, now let's talk about Cyril Karn.
Cyril.
Like your
like
grandpa's.
My grandpa.
Like Grandpa Cyril.
My grandpa Cyril.
We told you there's a lot of names to remember.
Yes.
Now he's played by Kyle Soller. Very, very. This is one of the best characters you'll ever see. Should I say it? In a Star Wars entry, in a Star Wars show or movie or book. Not that you can play a character in a book, but he's just that good, okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. Kyle Soller is really good as Cyril Karn, and he's part of a planetary security inspection team in the corporate sector So he's not part of the Empire, but he's like a detective that takes pride, a lot of pride in his job, and even more pride in his uniform.
Yes. And he's it seems a bit new to the job, new to his rank, perhaps. I think he.
Well,
Yeah.
I think he knows that the Empire's coming in,
Mm.
and he wants to make a name for himself.
Yeah, yeah. So very compelling character. Wow. All right, then we have Deidre Miro, who is part of the ISB, and
Dedra
this.
Merrill, yep.
Oh, then we have Dedra Miro, who is part of the ISB. She is played by Denise Goff. The ISB is the Imperial Security Bureau, and the main focus of the ISB is to find patterns of rebel activity and subvert them in this time. So, the Empire is, the leader, and the ISB, it's their job to make sure that the Empire is the leader of
so they get into the details.
The galaxy.
Into the details of finding the patterns and getting to know these strategies from any kind of enemy.
Yeah.
And we the most well-known member of the ISB is Agent Callus from Star Wars Rebels.
Yes.
He was part of that team.
Hot Callus.
There you go.
So Dedra Miro is working her way up in the ISB, and we get to see a little bit of her in episode 4. So some of these characters we won't see till episode 4. So I have to wait till next week to see them.
All right, now let's talk about the Primor Security. Now, this is the security firm that oversees the planet of Ferrix. So before the Empire has complete occupation, they will keep in check with the planet's own security. So think of them as rent-a-cops.
Exactly. Yeah, like why put a whole infrastructure in place when there's already an infrastructure in place that you can use?
And plus, when the Empire doesn't have occupation of that planet, they're not going to send down their own troops just yet, but they'll check in with the planet's own security. It's very, very, very efficient. And one of the supervisors is Cyril Karn, and he's the main antagonist of Andor. And he really, once again, wants to prove himself to the Empire because he knows sooner or later the Empire is going to come in, and he wants to be up in those ranks. And things don't always go his way because he really wants to catch Cassian, but for reasons we're not going to say right now. But things don't always go his way, but you would expect that to happen.
Yeah.
Because Andor, once again, is always a couple steps ahead.
Now, we want to welcome people who have joined us. So let's see, Corwin of Amber, hello, Dawn. Your sister and Pierre Kelly, welcome you guys. Thank you for joining us.
All right, now.
So I can say this. All right, so we did speak with many of these actors at press roundtables a few weeks back, and they provided some fantastic insight into their characters. So on episode 385, we go through all those press roundtables, we share the questions that we asked and what we thought of their characters and their responses. So make sure to check that out before or after you watch Andor. There's no spoilers for that. But I do want to bring up something here from those roundtables that we learned and we had no inkling of going into these roundtables. So they had paired Kyle Solar and Denise Goff together. Now, once again, he plays Cyril Karn and she plays the ISB agent Dedra. And they were paired for their roundtable. They had such cute banter between each other and us, and they teased an evil love story. So I'm here for this. I am here for a love story on the Imperial side, you guys. I'm so excited.
I think we're going to get the same level of a love story that we got between Cassian and Jyn Erso. There was a connection there, but just never took it any further than that, which is fine. We don't need a love story in every movie. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry. But what if okay, hear me out. Cassian and Jyn had this romantic relationship. Would that have fit in Rogue One?
No, that definitely wouldn't have.
And do we want to see that in a show like this?
If we have 24 episodes, I am all for it.
No, okay.
Let's see some love happening.
Okay, once again, we agree to disagree.
Oh, we're going to agree to disagree a lot.
Oh, yeah, we are.
In this episode. Okay. All right, so just last week, we spoke with Adria Arjona in a roundtable. And since it was later than the previous roundtables, she is not included in that episode 385. So we are going to share a few of her comments right now with you guys. We were there with several of our podcasting friends, including Mark Newbold of Fantha Tracks and Trisha Barr of Fangirls Going Rogue. Hold on, let me get this ready.
So when it was our turn, we asked her what she thought about the enthusiastic Star Wars fans like she saw at D23 Expo, which was just last weekend.
Yeah, because she was on stage and we saw her at that big Lucasfilm Marvel panel.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is 11:22. Hold on. We got the last question, you guys.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Handed off and given to me.
Okay, it's about to happen.
Sarah and Richard, you have the next question.
Hey, we are Richard and Sarah from Skywalking Through Neverland. Thanks so much for joining us here. So, it was great seeing you at D23 Expo last weekend. So
That was fun.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So now, what is your big takeaway about the enthusiastic Star Wars fandom?
You know, I was not prepared for that. I wish someone would have warned me. I walked in and I was like, how many people are there? He's like, about 500. And I was like, oh, cool. 500, that's kind of, I mean, that's a lot of people. And then I walked out on stage and I'm like, there's only 500 people in like this part. There was like thousands of people, which I guess people were like, we don't want her to get too nervous. It was nerve-wracking, exciting, and I remember leaving and feeling like that, those like butterflies in your belly and being like, oh my god, I actually get to put a face on the reason of why I did this to begin with. I've never been able to do that. You know, you hear about it in social media, you feel people's presence, you know, around and through the critics and reviews and this, where you hear fan comments on the internet, but you never see like faces. And that was just so cool. It was, you're like, oh, this is why I did this show. This is why I've kept every secret about this show quiet. And it's just made it so, because before I was like, I'm the worst at keeping a secret. I'm the worst. And then meeting everyone and seeing everyone, I was like, oh no, I'm keeping it a secret to protect your experience. And it all sort of clicked in my head. I was like, this is the fucking coolest thing I've ever been a part of. Like, wow.
Whoops, we said this was PG-13.
So much cursing right now. So much cursing.
Yeah, so
Well, aside from that.
yeah, I love that she talks about you know,
Putting a face
putting the face
to the fandom. So
Right.
now when she's doing these shows, she knows what we look like.
Yeah.
Not each and every one of us, of course, but she can put a face to the people who are the over enthusiastic fans, the people who she's doing this for. I think that was a great answer.
Right. And why I've been keeping secrets, you know,
Yeah,
like
and
that's
I'm doing it to protect you.
Yeah.
And I loved she gave so many great answers within that soundbite.
Mhm.
And I love the fact that she wants to keep these secrets a secret, even though she's really bad at keeping secrets.
Yep.
She's doing it to protect the fans who now she can visualize.
Right.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Now, these first 3 episodes that you are going to see are set in the community of Ferrix. So she talks about this town because she has a lot. She's a community leader in there. I mean, she owns her own business there and things. So she got to talk a little bit about this town, courtesy of a question by Mark Newbold of Fantha Tracks.
My question is, Ferrix, it's very blue collar, it's dirt under the fingernails, it's hard-working people, and Bix is kind of at the heart of that community. But before the events of Andor, do you think Bix has ever seen anything of the galaxy off Ferrix, or do you feel in your heart that she's a local girl and that's what she knows and that's what she's seen?
I think she has, but I think like a good Ferrixian, I think she's from there. She doesn't leave. She stays because that's where her people are. That I think there's a community and a camaraderie that is unexplainable that happens in Ferrix, and I think you get to sort of feel it in the first 3 episodes where people are exchanging information, people are exchanging parts, people help one another. And at the core of it really is Marva. I think at least Bix thinks Marva is like the queen of Ferrix and idolizes her. So no, I don't think she's left. Why would she? Right? I think she knows about everything that is going on in different parts of the galaxy, and she can kind of feel oppression getting closer and closer. But this place, like I said before, is kind of forgotten, and so I do want to believe that she maybe has traveled and explored, but Ferrix is her home. Ferrix is where her roots are in. And then that also becomes a different question, right? Like, what then happens? Like, if she's got to go, she'll be the first one out. But I do think there's something that, as someone from Ferrix, you stay with your people, you stay with your community.
Wow, very small town way of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
which really plays into a lot of what we see, because we see these citizens of Ferrix, when they see new things come into their territory, the way they look at them is, you can tell that they've never set foot off this planet or even this town.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, and they've done a really interesting thing with. Well, actually, I'll get into it later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're,
Okay.
we're trying very hard to watch what we say right now.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll mention that later. All right. Well, speaking of, we are going to give our spoiler-free reactions to Andor, the first 3 episodes, right now. And then we're going to turn off the live stream, you guys, and record like our nitty-gritty stuff. So, but this is comments we've been waiting to share for what, a month and a half?
Since July.
So we were like so excited. So Richard, what are your spoiler-free reactions to what you've seen?
Well, I've been waiting for this for so long. This is one of the shows I really wanted. This and Obi-Wan, that plays off of a character that we've known, that we've followed, and we have a connection to. So I was really looking forward to Andor, and then seeing that Tony Gilroy was attached, I was all in. Now, if you want a gritty Star Wars, Andor will give you just that. This has a completely different feel than any other live-action Star Wars show, but yet when you see a droid or a TIE fighter, you get that much more excited, because before that you're almost taken out of the Star Wars universe because they really expand on it. But then when you see a familiar sight, it's like, oh yeah, this is Star Wars. Oh, is that a Star Destroyer? Is that a TIE fighter? Did I just hear a droid? So you get really excited, and there's a part of me that is anxiously awaiting fan reactions to see who could poke holes in this show. Now, like most shows we've been watching on Disney Plus, there can be an occasional story speed bump, and I gotta say, I didn't bump up against any speed bumps in Andor, except for one, and that is the cursing. That's the cursing that we heard, but we'll go into that in just a few minutes. But on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a 10. If I were to give this a grade average, definitely an A plus. And if I had anything critical to say, if you've heard me in my other discussions, if I have something critical to say, I'm gonna say it. But once again, I can say my line. If they would have put a quote from me on the Andor poster, it would say "No speed bumps."
Nice.
And how about you now?
Okay, so I feel like this is really the next Star Wars big budget film. I mean, you have shoots on location. You have some beautiful storytelling, but because it's a Disney Plus show, you get this fantastic character-driven story that you can only do in a 12-episode Disney Plus show. And we've talked about this before, how we just love these series. Marvel, Star Wars, Disney. I mean, you can get so much more in depth and more interested in these characters in a series. And that's exactly what this does. Now, some people, I've seen some social media reactions. Some people are calling it a slow build, a very slow build. But for me, I love this character building. For me, it did not seem slow at all. At each different what is that called? Like conversation that characters have with each other. You learn things about their backstory just through like what they're saying to each other. It's just very, very well written.
That's the whole point of doing a series, so you can get that slow build. You get to know the characters and the situations.
Yeah.
We don't just like those shows on CBS.
Right.
Those superhero shows, like I'm thinking Supergirl. I don't know why that comes to mind, but
Oh.
they throw so much at you in the first episode just to
Yes.
keep you there, and you never get a connection with any of these
Right.
characters.
Now, do be forewarned if you are excited about Mon Mothma. Well, she's not gonna. Don't expect to see her this week. You know, so like in that way, you're learning new characters. It's like any good series, like even Star Wars Rebels. You began with all these new characters, your Ghost crew, and it was only in the second season that they had Ahsoka come or characters that you knew. So that's how this is doing it. Now, many Star Wars fans claim that Rogue One is their favorite Star Wars film of the Disney era. I've heard that a lot, and I feel like that's because Rogue One is very grown-up nostalgia, where you have things that you know from the Star Wars universe, like droids, consoles, ships, but the settings and the characters, they're more in this gray area that's really intriguing, because in Star Wars, the original Star Wars A New Hope, you know, everything's black and white. Darth Vader's bad. Luke Skywalker's good. There's no gray area. Rogue One, you watch this film and you go to a scene with Cassian and all of a sudden you almost don't believe it, but he shoots someone. He shoots an informant. You're like, wait, what? That's a rebel. That's a guy we're supposed to be on the good side, and he's like just killed someone. You're like, what's happening? So that's a lot like this series, and I love that it follows both the burgeoning rebels and the ISB, the Imperials, in almost equally. So you get an overall view of it, a lot like Lost Stars, the novel, where you got both sides of what's happening. So I love that. And I also feel, watching these first 3 episodes, that the characters that we don't know going into this series are most compelling. Like, especially we mentioned Kyle Solar, Cyril. Oh my gosh. Like, so compelling. I just love it. So I can't wait for you guys to see these first 3 episodes. And I feel like even though we had to wait longer, what is it, 3 more weeks than we were?
It was pushed back from August 31st.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's pushed back that long. But you guys get to see all 3 of these episodes, which is a complete story arc. It's so great. I'm so glad that they chose to do it this way.
Yeah, I'm so glad they're not just dropping them all on one single day.
Oh, no.
Then you would just burn right through it.
The whole series,
The whole season series, yeah.
No, there's so much to talk about in these first 3, which we're gonna get into in a little bit. I can't wait. I love it too. Like, after that 3rd episode, Richard and I had to like catch our breath. It was intense.
Well, that's what happened to us. They gave us 4 episodes, and we watched 4 episodes that night.
Yeah.
We just couldn't stop.
Oh no.
But then the screeners expired, and we had to write a review. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what happened? So we had an overall impression, but because we watched them all in chunk, they didn't really seep into the mind and memory as well as 1 episode per week.
Luckily, we got to watch them again last week. So
And luckily, when 3 episodes are released on Disney Plus, they're there. They don't expire.
Yeah.
So you can go back and watch them again and again.
You can go back and watch a certain character say what, Richard?
I'm not gonna say.
He's gonna curse.
He is. Oh, should we get into that?
Yes, we should.
All right.
Yes, we should. So
All right.
this week we're gonna do it a little different. We are going to share our shout outs before we get into the main review of the show, because we're live right now.
This is a big topic for Andor. Wasn't supposed to be, but it really is. To swear or not to swear in the Star Wars universe.
Weigh in, you guys, if you're here on the live stream. Weigh in. All right, so let's lay it out. So there's a moment in episode 3 when Sergeant Kostek of the Pre-More Security says, "SHIT, we're under siege. They're everywhere." So he just, he throws it out there. The S word.
Yeah, and no big deal in any other movies or shows, but this is Star Wars. That kind of language just don't belong.
So tell us how you feel.
I was disappointed. This is the only speed bump I had come across in any of the 4 episodes that we had seen, and this is I think it's a pretty major speed bump. I just don't think this kind of language does not fit in Star Wars. Okay, we have so many in-universe cuss words like Karabast, Ichatu, even the Ichuta, and even the dreaded Dank Ferric. There have been words like hell and damn that we heard in A New Hope. We also heard Cassian say bastards in Rogue One, and Poe said big ass door in Last Jedi. But we haven't had the big 2 up until now, and using the S word, it takes it to a whole new level, and it took me right out of the story when it didn't further the story in any other way.
Okay.
So why put that in there? We didn't need it. Once again, they've got a whole dictionary full of cuss words to go to. Why go here?
Okay, this is so interesting. So we were watching, and I'm like so into this story. This is an intense moment in episode 3, and all of a sudden, Richard, you like said, we're watching, and you said, "Hey, did he just say SH?" And I was like, "What?" And we rewound it, and yes, he does say it, but I did not notice it. It didn't faze me. And it's like thrown out there very fast, very quickly.
And it is kind of muddied in
is.
the sound mix.
Right.
So I think the first time we'd seen this, I don't think it really stuck out.
It didn't. Yeah, and it didn't stick out to me that second time until we rewound it and we heard it again. Now, for me, I don't know if this was in the script. I almost think this was just a thrown out there improv.
Well, then they could have taken it out. They have the freedom. It's not live.
No,
so they could
it's
have taken that part out, or just dubbed in something else, or not even put anything in there because it was so muddied.
Yeah.
Why bother?
So my point is, it didn't faze me. So I guess I don't mind that word is used in Star Wars, and
I know this is a grittier Star Wars than most kids should be watching, but kids will be watching this.
They will be.
And I felt the same way against Age of Ultron, that the first word coming out of the gate is Iron Man said the same word, the same S word.
To which Captain America says language.
Language.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're Captain America.
I'm very much Captain America here.
I'm Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Fly. All right. Well, this is the shout out section. So Richard, you put this out there on Facebook.
Yeah.
You got over 50 comments.
Yeah, within the first 5 minutes. So
let's read a few.
I guess coming out of this, we now know that the S word is Star Wars canon. That is a sentence I've always dreaded to say.
Oh.
I never wanted to say that in my life. All right, now let's go back a step.
Okay.
And let's start with Nathan Butler's comment. Now, Nathan Butler, you've known from our past episodes. Nathan P. Butler has written a lot of Star Wars home video books, and he had written the S word was already within the current canon thanks to Queen's Peril. This is the novel by E.K. Johnston. I was taken aback by this. What? And he gave us a screenshot of this page where it says, the treaty was, in C.O. Bibble's professional opinion, a pile of shack. Bleep. Bleep.
That's so
A pile
funny.
of shock.
Right.
Bleep. You see where I'm going with this.
Yes, I do. That is so funny. And actually it works there. Shock shit. I mean, it's funny.
But what? Say shock poodoo. We've already established that. Poodoo.
Okay. All right. Well, Monkeyboy1138 on Twitter says that Lando in Solo. Oh, and Rebecca Benjamin points this out too. Lando in Solo was just starting to say it before the hyperdrive kicked in the Maw. So
but he never said it.
No.
And we don't know exactly what he was going to say. If he's just starting to say it, maybe he was saying shock.
All right. Also, here in the Sky Chat, Amy Hawkins is saying, she's with you. I can do without real world swears. don't mind the in-universe ones.
Exactly.
Same with Don Glover. It should be in-universe.
Yes, they already have this established, their own curse words.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? It's boggling. And if I had heard this the first time around when we did the roundtables, maybe I would have slipped this question into Tony Gilroy.
Oh, yeah. Darn it.
Hey,
Yeah.
watch your language.
Oh.
All right, Amanda Bond just says yes.
She doesn't mean it, or she doesn't mind it. But Veronica Dempsey and Jonathan Marquin are with you. Veronica, I feel like it ruins it for me. Why do they need earthy stuff in there? Keep the spacey cuss words. And Jonathan Marquin, first the books, now the live action? Where is the line?
Apparently there is none, Jonathan.
Oh, okay. So I want to bring up, though, Nathan Patrick Butler, who so rightly pointed out that it's in the books, also says, on another note, keep an eye out for the post-credits scene in which Mon Mothma exclaims, Cassian Andor fun, but is cut off at the last second.
I didn't understand this until you explained it to me.
This is in reference to She-Hulk, where she's asking Hulk, okay, Captain America, has he actually had sex? Because is he a virgin or not?
Yeah.
And so at the end, the final scene.
So, and he says yes, and as a matter of fact, he has on his tour.
Right. And she's like, Captain America, and then it's
cut the credits.
So that would be funny. Thank you, Nathan, for giving me a little chuckle.
Now, Jesse Stevenson says, highly unpopular opinion here, but I'd love to see a highly regarded franchise take a lowly regarded term and make it highly regarded, a la Simpsons with smell you later. But that line is said by a low-life character like Nelson. So
okay.
it fits.
Okay. Interesting.
Right, and the Pre-More, they're not, I think they're a little above this.
Yeah. Okay, now James Rowan agrees with me a little bit. I like how he states
Okay, let's
this.
move on then.
No. Oh my gosh. Okay, he says, I guess I'm in the minority actually liking this. This particular word is so practically not a curse anymore, it seems right to start showing up in common usage. It's always bugged me that poodoo has somehow turned into a curse, given that the on-screen translation for that word was fodder, which means food. At least by using English words, we understand A, what they mean, and B, how severe the curse is. Interesting. Interesting opinion. Teresa Delgado also states that she doesn't think it matters much. Why do we have to have stigmas on language and words?
Stop right there. Because if we didn't have stigmas on languages and words, we'd be going around saying very inappropriate things all the time. And that's been a very big problem with racism. People will say things that, oh, they're just words. No, words have meanings. Words have...
Sticks and stones may break my bones.
Have
but
stigmas, yeah. So
okay.
I don't agree with her with that.
But she does go on to say, I'm a little proud of Andor for being more adult, dark, and gritty. At least that's how it seems it will be from the trailers.
But she also says any word could be seen as a bad word depending on how someone takes it, which is a huge problem right there because people filter things the way they filter things now, where everything is always a problem. Doesn't matter what it is, they're filtered to look for a problem with something. So you may say to someone, "Oh, hello," and someone could take that as a very nasty word. So I would say that let's not put too much weight on that, because if you tell people, well, a word can mean anything depending on how you take it. Because if someone takes it as a nasty word, we're left with not saying anything anymore, because we're always worried about how someone's going to take something.
Okay. Well, then I have a question for you. Ted Dastick Jr. says, I don't like it, I don't hate it, but it feels like lazy writing. Do you think that it feels like lazy writing?
No, I wouldn't say it's lazy writing.
Okay. I think, honestly, I still think it was just thrown out there by the actor.
Well, then they would have cut it, and someone at Disney would have said, what we're we're going to use another take, right? So I don't think it was lazy. It was just something that they just wanted to introduce, maybe make Star Wars more adult, more gritty by using that word. and it was already there. You hit a home run. You were already there without using that word.
Okay. All right, so I'm one, I don't mind, and Richard's a no, it shouldn't be there. But Core One of Amber, Don Glover, has a solution for you. In true Lucas tradition, they can edit it out and replace it to create the enhanced edition of the episode. Just for you, Richard.
I would love that. But why go through all that work when you didn't need to do it in the first place? You know, I am right. Maybe because we work with kids.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
yeah.
very sensitive
Right.
to that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a swear word and anything else. What else are we watching? Let's say Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
It's kids. Well, there you go again. Kids swearing. I don't believe we should be hearing or seeing in a
You
show.
don't think it's good to show that
No.
for society?
Like back in 1976 case in point, when I saw Bad News Bears,
Oh.
you had all these young kids, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, swearing up a storm. Guess what I did? I mimicked that, and I started swearing up a storm back when I was 7 years old. And so now you're going to get kids using expletives,
Expletives?
curse words, instead of trying to figure out a way to communicate. Side note here, Kevin Smith just made a point of this. He said, I listened back to a podcast I had done. Boy, I swear a lot. And he was so disappointed with himself because he used curse words in place of
Adjectives. Yes.
Or, just any other word to further the conversation.
He does swear a lot.
Very much so. Very, very much so.
So has he stopped swearing so much?
Not yet. Give him time. Give him time.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
All right.
so we could go on and on. I think we've just said just about enough that
Yep.
I'm against it. Sarah
Oh.
doesn't mind.
My Sunny Saga mentions my parents didn't permit me to see Bad News Bears when I was a child, probably for that very reason.
Now, back in '76 when I saw it, I don't think it was known that these kids were foul-mouthed. It was about a little league team.
Yeah.
I was on a little league team, so all of my friends connected with it, so let's go see it. We didn't have social media to tell us, oh, no, this movie,
Wow.
that's not a movie you can watch today.
No.
No, very, very insensitive.
Oh, all right. Well, Skywalkers, we want to know what you think. Please write in. Let us know at SkywalkingPod.
They already did.
We should put. I know they did.
But tell us some more. We want to hear some more.
We should put a whole Instagram story up about swearing in Star Wars. I think that would be funny. Have people respond. All right. So now, guess what? We are going to get into spoilers for the first 3 episodes, which means that we are going to stop the live stream right now, as per Disney request, because we can't share that until it's going out.
Just a few hours.
Tomorrow, yeah. So, everyone, thank you for joining us today, and tune into the podcast, episode 390, which will be out tomorrow. All right? Bye, everybody!
Thanks for joining us. Once again, we missed you.